Hello, welcome to the Writing Room. My name is Janet, teacher of English among other subjects as well as an author. Today we will be talking about my writing toolkit and why it is important to have a toolkit. Before we examine my writing toolkit, let's look at the objectives that I want you to achieve at the end of this session. Objective 1. You should be able to create your own writing toolkit. Objective 2. You should understand the purpose of your tools. Objective 3. You should be ready to use your tools to write the stories that you always wanted to write. You should be able to engage with my poem about my writing process. I share this poem with you at the end of the video. So, what is a writing toolkit? No, it's not a cushion. To me, a writing toolkit is a collection of the tangible and intangible things that you need to have in place to get your writing job done. For years, I've been putting tools into my writing toolkit without realizing it. The first tool that I put into my writing toolkit was imagination, and it is being updated as years go by. Imagination is the ability to visualize, to see things in your mind that you haven't experienced before, to process your experiences as you live them and after you've lived them, to live vicariously through the many books that you read. I hope that you do read, because reading positively impacts writing, according to the experts. Imagination is a wonderful thing because it allows us to just check out from this physical plane that we exist in and engage with another reality. Imagination is a powerful tool. It is out of the imagination that we get ideas. A collection of ideas is another tool that I added to my toolkit. We get ideas from our imagination, ideas that we want to write about or ideas we write about. My imagination continues to stimulate lots of ideas. Big ideas, small ideas, all kinds of ideas. I can't write about all of the ideas that I have come up with so far. Neither can you. But we will write about a few of the compelling ones. So what do we do with the rest? Just throw all of the ideas that your imagination generates into your toolkit until the right time comes, when you can shape them into a book, a short story, a novel, a poem, a screenplay. You get to decide what form your writing will take. The next tool that I initially added to my toolkit was my vocabulary. The words I learned from my schooling at home, the words I learned in school, the words I learned in the wider society. This vocabulary is not static. I update it all the time as I learn new words, formal and informal. Your vocabulary is a most important tool in your toolkit. You have to be selective about words when you write. If you are writing for children, you have to choose child-friendly words. If you are writing about people in urban centers or rural areas or from different professions, you need to know how they speak and allow your writing to reflect to that. I'll return to this point later on in the video. Knowledge of the writing process is a tool that went into my toolkit quite early. Being a teacher of English, I had to learn about the writing process. It is great to know about this process, but note that it is only a guide. The writing process is not a linear one. It is a good idea to think of it as a maze of ideas that the writer wanders through, sometimes getting lost, but most times finding a way out. I will do a video about the writing process one day, but let's briefly look at the stages at this time. Pre-writing. This is the ideas generating stage when you give your imagination free rein and try to keep up with it as it races along. The writing or drafting stage, this is your first draft. Don't second guess yourself. Just write. After you write,
go revise. Cut out what does not advance your story. Put in important bits that you had left out. When you believe that you've captured the story as you intended, it is now time to edit by fixing grammar and structure. After polishing your work, publish it. That is, share it with an audience.
Another tool that I initially put in my writing toolkit is a place for writing. Most often it is my bedroom. I just need a place with few distractions and I'm good to go. Some people write in cafes, at the beach, the list goes on. You have to find the right place for you to write. Then write. I added an important set of tools to my toolkit. Pen and paper, which I later traded in for a computer. Sometimes ideas refuse to be captured, and I stare at my blank screen, willing them to come forward. Eventually, I catch them, a few words at a time. The memory is notoriously unreliable. Do not think that you will always remember those scenes that you write in your mind, the ones that you tell yourself that you will write one day. Write those scenes as soon as they show themselves, and put them in your writing bank, which I'll talk about later. Along the first leg of my writing journey, I realized that writing is a teacher. I listened to her. The first 6 tools that I had put into my writing toolkit were not enough to get the job done. I added some new tools. A time manipulator is the first tool that I added to my writing toolkit on the second leg of my writing journey. This is an intangible tool buried deep in my brain that I use to schedule time for my writing. You will find that if you don't schedule time to write, you'll never move beyond the starting gate on the road to realizing your writing dreams. The time manipulator is really your will to write that you activate at intervals without feeling pressured to do so. Practice flipping that switch until it becomes second nature. I added a writing bank. You know how the writing gurus tell us that we should write at least 400 words per day? That if we write 400 words per day, say for 300 days in the year, assuming that we take 65 days for ourselves, we will write 120,000 words per year. That's enough words to get us 1 or more books depending on our genre. So suppose you decide to take the advice of these writing gurus and write any 400 words that come to mind each day. Words that you believe are advancing your story at that moment. But after revising, you realize that although they are nice words, they really don't advance the story that you want to tell. Instead of pressing the delete button, cut and paste those words to another document and name it, for example, Remnant of whatever story you were writing. This is the beginning of your writing bank. I save pieces of stories to enhance my future bits of writing. Sometimes I'm writing a story. An idea pops into my head. It would work at that point in my story. But wait. Had explored that idea before, rejected it and deposited it into my writing bank. I retrieve it, saving time and brain power to rewrite that scene. My unsolicited bit of advice? Don't throw away extended bits of writing because they do not fit into the project that you're working on. You will have ample opportunities to use them in the future. Perseverance is the next tool that I added to my writing toolkit. Many of us have to prioritize writing like everything else in our lives. And there are times when we just can't bother. Either the ideas are not flowing fast enough, or we don't see the point of continuing, or somebody tells us that our writing sucks. Any number of things can interrupt our flow. But don't give up. If you practice enough, do your research, practice some more, and research some more, you will finally feel like you're making headway. I have been there. Patience is the ability to keep your cool in spite of the writing challenges that you face daily. Patience is a tool that I had to put into my writing toolkit. I discovered that I needed patience to persevere, to keep on going. Developing patience takes work, but it can be done.
My patience has been yielding bountiful results. If you embrace patience, you'll have that first piece of writing sooner or later. To ensure that my writing is authentic, that it represents the souls and lives of the characters that I write about, I had to put empathy into my writing toolkit. Empathy in this context basically means walking in the shoes of the people who you're writing about. Sometimes you have to take this walk literally, other times figuratively. But before you can do this, you need to understand yourself, your biases, the making of those biases, how they color your views of others. It is only after you understand yourself that you'll be able to open up yourself to understanding what makes other people tick, people who are different from you. It is only then that you'll be able to connect with them. And it is the vocabulary that you use to tell your story and how you order it that will convince your reader that you know what you're talking about, that you understand your characters and the context in which they live. I'm sharpening this tool. You should too.
Love. I added this tool to my writing toolkit because it is the engine that keeps me writing. You can't truly write if you do not love the writing process and you do not love the products of that process. My stories are my babies that I nurture until they are ready to meet an audience. Give time and consideration to your writing. Write with love, and the end result will reflect that love. Before you go, here is my poem about my writing process.
Letters, words, sentences, paragraphs, pages. Building blocks of hopes and radiant visions. Spurring the naked egos of sworn wordsmiths. Excavating perfect words to widen eager eyes. Jaded brain exterminates, ruminates, debates. A firm foundation disintegrating into rubble. Re-envision, redraft, discard, or persevere. To reach an unpromised home among the stars. Pain and joy companions on this hard voyage. Slowly I zig and zag, patience a good friend. Soothing my fears, trampling my heavy doubts, steering me along roads that trap backwards, exposing twisting roads right in front of me, challenging me to plod along roads beyond me. Waltzing with streaking time, piercing space, finding shards of light to assemble my piece. I bob and weave, birthing my insistent dream.
So there you have it, the tools in my writing toolkit. What tools are in your writing toolkit? How is my experience similar or different from yours? Leave your comments below.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. See you in the next video when we'll explore some of the theories of writing.